Hi, are you wondering what you should be doing to market your criminal defense law firm? Are you doing digital marketing? And are you doing enough of it? If you'd like to know the answers, tune in to find out.
You are listening to the Prosper Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. So today's topic is digital marketing for criminal defense lawyers, and what should you do to market your law firm? And think about, what are you doing now? What marketing are you doing? Some people aren't doing any, and they get cases because they're good lawyers and people know who they are, and they get referrals, and it works, and that does work up to a point. And I certainly ran my law practice for over 2 decades, mostly just with referrals, and I had a up and down practice because sometimes somebody's not being referred, and I had a couple of systems and good referral systems, and it worked up to a point. Then everything changed because of the digital age. I remember one time I was talking to some friends of mine, and this lawyer buddy of mine who has a big successful personal injury case, and we were talking about the information age, and he was talking about the industrial revolution and the mechanization and how that changed society. And then I think we talked about some other eras. And I remember, and I don't know when this was, but there were people that knew it was coming and they knew what it was. And for instance, I remember one time I heard somebody like Steve Jobs or somebody said, one day everybody will have a computer in their house. And that was just an absurd statement at the time. And I couldn't figure out when it was told to me, and we were just out, drinking a beer, talking or something, that we're going into the information age. And I remember thinking, that doesn't make any sense to me. What's the information age? And then I think I read stuff or heard stuff where people were going to make money on information. And that was the most absurd thing I had ever thought, because I was still in the industrial age, and I was thinking, well, I know how that worked. People made stuff and sold it, and so with mechanization and factories and all of that happening, they could make more stuff more uniformly cheaper. So I understood that, but I didn't have a clue about the information age. Well, clearly now it's pretty obvious, and we all live in the information age, and we watch our society and our culture and everything transform, and it's made billionaires and successful people, and companies have gone out of business, and then companies have been created and quickly advanced to the top. And not just Google. Google happened, and it's part of our lives. And if you're a lawyer and you're talking about digital marketing, then that's the player. I think 90% of searches are on Google. So, and also for a lawyer, as opposed to say a divorce lawyer and criminal law is very similar in terms of something happens and somebody decides an event happens and they need a lawyer. But many times in a divorce, the client makes it happen. In other words, the client is sitting back deciding, am I going to leave my spouse? Do I have to do this? And so they may think about it and mull it over for weeks, months, maybe years, because they're trying to make their marriage work. No one really wants to get a divorce, and so they're thinking about it. You have the other situation where somebody finds out that their spouse is committing adultery, and they become enraged and emotionally distraught. And so then maybe they're looking for a divorce lawyer right then. and they want to go do something. It's still not as urgent as criminal law, because a lot of criminal defense lawyer marketing is what I call transactional. And you look at marketing as in the way I use these terms, and I don't know if other people say this or not, but a Google ad or a website that's optimized for search engine or any other of the paid products, even perhaps social media and those kind of things, the targeted kind of stuff or retargeting. It's about an event that's happened, and somebody gets arrested. It's a traumatic event, and that many times is not something they were going to expect to happen. And so it happens, and so now they've got an urgent emergency type of situation. And that's different than if you say you practice business law. And so if you're a business lawyer, what do? You defend lawsuits, you try to prevent lawsuits, you write contracts for businesses. If you're a business, it's likely you have a business lawyer, and these are people that guide you and try to keep you from getting sued and try to protect you and make sure people don't take advantage of you. So that's a lot more measured. If, for instance, if you say, I'm going to start a business and I need contracts or I need certain things, I need compliance done for me, that's a thoughtful process, and you think about what you're going to do. The same thing with writing wills and estate planning. Sometimes with wills, somebody is critically ill and they want to redo their will or write a will or something like that. But mostly that's something that people plan, and they are going to write a will possibly when they're in their 20s because a financial advisor or somebody says, well, I think you should look at this. This is important. Or people get married and they want a will, especially people who get married who have children. So that's a long runway. That's a thoughtful, deliberate process. Whereas criminal defense, and also to some degree personal injury, if somebody is injured in an accident and they go to the hospital and they're recovering, probably, even though that's a single event, it was unexpected. No one expects to get arrested. No one expects to become injured, say in a car accident. But even that, if that happens, and people don't know this, but the reality of it is that they don't have to do something today. And I think the clients get that to the extent that, if somebody's in the hospital recovering or somebody's, in a wheelchair at home, they don't have to do it right now. They can be much more deliberate with it. Whereas criminal defense, something happened, someone got arrested, and now they've got a court date. And that's very pressing and very urgent. So ideally, ultimately, it certainly in my opinion, and what I want for my law firm, and my law firm is a complete legal defense team, what I want ideally is a brand. And our brand at Complete Legal Defense Team, part of the brand is just in the name, because we're a defense team and we have multiple lawyers and we have paralegals, and the way we do it is our team represents you. We don't segregate those cases. In other words, I don't give cases to lawyer A and lawyer B and lawyer C. The lawyers work on different aspects of the case throughout the case. The same thing with the paralegals and the legal assistants. They're aware of the cases, and we go through the cases every week, and everybody has different roles that they play. So part of my brand is just in the name, Complete Legal Defense Team. And then our slogan or our tagline is, we defend the accused who have a lot to lose. So that's our brand. We're defending people who have a lot to lose, which is usually higher middle class to upper middle class to wealthy individuals who they own property. They're putting their kids through college. Many of them have a business. Sometimes they have other property. For instance, in Myrtle Beach, where a lot of people own second homes here. They've got their home back in Ohio or New Jersey or wherever it is, but then they also have a house here or a condo or something here, and sometimes they have multiple ones. And then a lot of people, too, that we represent are licensed professionals. And there are a lot of different jobs and careers where people have licenses. And you look at engineers, people in the medical profession, really all of them, from phlebotomists to nurses, to doctors, to technicians, lab people. Those people are licensed, and if they lose that license, they cannot work. So they have a lot to lose. And it goes on and on. We've represented real estate agents, the same thing. Lawyers have a license, and those people have a lot to lose. So that's our brand. Now, because of the nature of criminal defense and because mostly of the limitations of budgeting and stuff, at this stage and probably forever, I cannot simply brand my law firm and do nothing else. So that gets me to the digital marketing. And if you look at that, are you doing digital marketing, and is it working, and do you measure it? And I'm not going to go into measurement too much right now, because that's really almost a topic or course in and of itself. And I think, and I'll talk about that, I think it's in the next podcast that I'll talk about measurement. But what are you doing? Think about, what are you doing to market your law firm digitally? Are you doing anything? Are you doing some things? The things that you're doing, are you doing it well? Are you doing it by yourself? Or do you have a vendor or somebody else that's doing it? Do you have an agency that's one size fits all, and they're doing all aspects of it, and you pay them a check every month and they handle everything and they give you reports, especially when your business goes down and you get upset and maybe even angry and get them on the phone, and then they start justifying what they're doing. Are they doing a good job? Or are they doing a bad job? And there's two schools of thought on that. Most of the vendors or agencies that I work with, Complete Legal Defense Team, is that I kind of have this idea that I don't think that there's one stop that can do it all very well. I'm not saying that there isn't, but in my experience, what I've done is kind of gone out and tried different people so that I have different people doing different parts of it. In other words, I've got one company that does the paid ads. I've got another company, and I've bounced around like a lot of people have. I got another company that does the search engine optimization. And then a lot of the local service ads, I don't know if you're doing those or not, but those can be helpful and also not terribly expensive in a lot of circumstances, depending on your market. Those I handle myself because it's not hard to set up. But then if I need help with it, I talk to the people that do my pay-per-click ads, and then they tell me what to do and they help me with it. Or if something happens where the ads drop off and we see they're not appearing anymore, and sometimes you have these updates and things that you miss because you're busy. So I still have people that I can call and look at that. So what are you doing, and do you measure it? And in terms of what we do at Complete Legal Defense Team, I started back, I don't know when it was, maybe probably in the early 2000s with search engine optimization. And I probably at that point was getting ahead of that a little bit when other people weren't doing it. That was in the days of a lot of people had an agency like Fine Law or something like that, where they come in and they build your website and they own your website, which is bad. They own your .com or your URL, which is bad. And they were marketing law firms around me, and that worked up to a point. There was a point where I remember going to a seminar and they had people doing testimonials because it was so new and they knew what they were doing. It was easy to get the phone to ring and get clients for criminal defense lawyers. It's changed. It's gotten a lot more competitive. But so I started doing the search engine optimization so that I'm at the top, the quote, top of Google, the top of the page of Google. The other thing I started doing, and I don't know how long I've been doing it, probably at least maybe 10 years or more at different levels, is just paid ads. And the reason we do the paid ads is because it works. It's expensive. It's a pain. I don't like throwing all that money at it every month, but it works. And so how do I know it works is because we're able to measure it. Now, we don't have perfect measurement, but we know it works. And if we turn it off, we can see it's not working. We turn it back on, it's working. So I talked about organic, and organic is the idea, and because I was a cheapskate and didn't understand investing money in marketing, the reason I did SEO is I paid somebody a couple $100 and they get me up in the search results. And so it's good that I did it when I did it, because now it can be very challenging for somebody to try to move up in the rankings. And when I did it, I think there were, it was before local service, or excuse me, it was before local map placements. Back then, your search showed up organically, and it was, where were you? Were you the top listing? Were you the second listing? Were you the third listing? Did you have a photograph or image there that came in and out where images were successful? And this, for some reason, Google dropped the images and now they brought them back. So where are you in that? And then that evolved into the maps, and the maps are based on local search. So it's really, if you think about it, if you draw it like put a dot down and have like a pencil with a string, it goes into there's a certain circle or radius that's going to show up. And then you have the organic, and I'm not sure that organic. I know some people in my market that do organic. A friend of mine does it, and I see him. He's in the organic part, but the way Google has formulated it now is you have the local service ads where you have usually 3 law firms pop up, and then below that you have the paid ads, and then below that you have the 3-pack, and then below that you have the organic, and the organic is mixed up, with the national companies where they're buying that, they're doing their own SEO, where the super lawyers or lawyers.com and those things show up, the directories that then do that. They market it for you, where you go to them and then they're selling you the service. Personally, I don't think that organic is very valuable for the situation that I'm in with a criminal defense law firm in Myrtle Beach and Charleston, because it's so far down. And marketers will tell you, and marketers are relentless, it seems, that they'll get you on page 1 of Google. And I was laughing with somebody the other day who does the search stuff for me and the ranking and everything, because really there's only one page now. It used to be there was a page and there was people on it, and then you go to page 2, and now really with Google you just scroll down endlessly. Sometimes it says see more results, but I guess technically if you're at the bottom of the page, but the page is not a page, it's a long list. So being on page 1 of Google really is meaningless now. Now the other thing is, how do you measure it? Mostly what we do, and there's 2 schools of thought on this, is our different marketing channels have tracking numbers. And so I can go in the tracking number site and see how many calls each thing is generating. And that's not perfect. And you also have the issue of attribution, but it's still helpful. It's still helpful to see these calls are coming in on these channels, and I can see how many website clicks and how many calls come in from my main office, which is their ranking through search engine optimization. So what should you do? What should you stop doing? should you spend money or save money? I remember talking years ago. I would get these pop-up ads, and people would call me or send me something and say, do you want 10 new cases a week? And if you do, sign this contract and we'll send you 10 new cases a week. And I remember talking to this one guy for this one company. I won't name them because I don't have anything good to say about them. And I don't have a lot of good things to say about a lot of lead companies. And I remember him talking to me in the sales call, trying to get me to sign up, and give him my credit card. And he said, Greg, if you're trying to save money, you can do this. And I told him, I said, I'm not trying to save money. I'm trying to make money. And I would pay you 5 or 10 times as much if this was working. But what you're doing is you're sending me garbage leads. You're sending me bad leads. We also had the same experience with some other sites. I remember, I think I had an Avo listing and I paid the premium listing, and the phone was ringing and people were contacting me, and everyone contacting me, they were just people trying to sell us stuff. And I remember one time I had an employee, I said, I want you just to go through every one of these phone numbers and find out how many of those people are clients. And we had, 30 people a month contacting us, I think, back then on that. And she came back and she said, not one of these people is a client. And I don't think a lot of them were even prospective clients. So it just wasn't working. So there's some things you can do to delve into that and see if it's working, if it's not doing anything. Now that can be tough because you're busy. You got court, you got payroll, you got to manage your employees, you have emergencies, you got jail visits. And so it can be tough, but it's something that you carve out a little bit of time and look at it, because if you don't do that, you don't change anything, then nothing gets better. And what I found is the more you change, the better it gets, the more you're able to get some breathing room, if you will. And so then you can get into a situation where you just start to make some progress, and then this progress is incremental, and you start to fix things and things start to get better, which ultimately that's what you want. You want to make more money, you want to have more free time, you want to have less stress. And if you're interested in that, making more money, having less stress, and having more free time, or just any free time, that's what we do at Prosper at Law. If you're a criminal defense lawyer or you're a criminal defense law firm owner and you want help with that, go to prosperatlaw.com, schedule a call. If you do that, you'll be talking to me personally, and you'll have a free session where we'll evaluate you and see if we think we can help you. If we can't help you, I'll tell you that. But you really have nothing to lose if you're interested in growing your law firm and reducing your stress. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.